Ed's giving us a call in,
I know.
which sounded great.
Well, it says we're live, but I'm waiting to see if we're actually live. And we are. See, now it went live. See?
Sweet. All right.
So we're going to check the sound here for a minute. Just YouTube. We're leaving Facebook. Well, we did last week. We exited last week with it. So it is 6:02. It is Real Unfiltered Talk on YouTube Live. I am James Bryant alongside two-time world champion, FLW champion, and that other one. Bass Masters, Bass Masters Classic Championship. Yeah. Almost called you Guido.
There you go.
What is wrong with me tonight?
I've been called worse.
Jeez, Dion Hibden. Dion, good evening and welcome to the show again. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Life is good right now.
Lots of changes.
Yeah.
A lot to talk about tonight. First of all, thank you for nobody's watching yet, and they will. I'm going to go to, in case you guys are trying to watch us, link over to YouTube, check us out, and we're going to get there. It's all
it might
good.
be a little bit slow this week for that reason.
And it might be, but the great thing is they're going to find us now.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Now they can find them, save them. We get back on Apple.
Yeah.
So YouTube has decided to cancel all of our live feeds, but everybody, not just us. So kind of cool. Check it out. So we've got live chat too, where people can log in and watch. And
sweet.
I like this.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good change. So basically, we're starting all over again.
Yep.
But we still have 36 or 46 episodes on there, so
there
it's all good. Before we start, I'm going to do the shameless plug ahead of time. Super shout out to Lloyd and June at Hiawatha Beach. They're in the middle of snagging season. Here in Missouri, we have snagging season. We have the spoonbill chase where they impale prehistoric fish with giant hooks, and they call it fishing. But they do that, and Lloyd does really well with it. A lot of people come up there because it's a great place to be, and they hook them, don't they, Lloyd? Yeah. Hook them, take them, shake them. Yeah.
Very busy time of the year.
It is. Up until April 30th, and then he's got to deal with tourists like everybody else.
That's right.
Which we all do well with tourists. We like tourists.
It's kind of a spring deer season.
A spring deer season. That's
right.
Good. I like that.
That's what spoonbilling is.
I like that. We are here at Bryant's Osage Outdoors in the Legends and Liars bar that we haven't got our liquor license yet, so it's just a place for podcasts. So,
that's right.
But we're getting there. It's going to be good here in a couple of weeks. We're going to be juicing that up, and then we're going to have a bunch of drunk, stupid people watching podcasts. It's going to be even better.
And that'll make it more entertaining.
It will, because I'll be one of them. Because shout out to my... Did you say Prussians?
Russians.
Oh. I know he did. It was funny. They were going for the caviar, Lloyd. Lloyd from Hiawatha Beach said he had some Russians in the store, and I said, they're probably coming to get their caviar. They just say, Das Weekend, Lloyd, in Sata.
That's Swedish.
German.
Is it?
Yeah, okay. I watched a German show the other night. I know German now, so just in case you know. So it's kind of like that deal. So
is that like staying at a Holiday Inn?
It's like staying at a Holiday Inn. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
The more you know.
That's right.
Yep. I'm feeling right now that by the time the podcast is over, you're going to owe me an apology.
Oh.
Just be ready. Just hold on to it.
I don't see that.
You got that? Just hold it.
Okay.
And we're going to rewind back to last week where we left off last week. We left off last week talking about the Big Bass Bash, which is coming up in a week.
Yep.
I think. It's been kind of quiet. Haven't heard a lot of people out there talking about it a whole lot.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
It is early. Now, we did talk about last week that sight fishing probably is not going to be on the radar, and I think it's definitely not going to be on the radar now. But prior to that, we did a lot of crappie talking.
Yeah, we did.
And do you remember what I said? I said, I think if people are going to mess around the next few weeks, they're going to miss it. And you went, oh, by God, no, that's going to be running all the way up until May. And those fish run all the way through. And before the show started, what did we say?
I caught some that were very suspicious. I'm not saying that they were spawning, but they definitely put on a good act. So yeah, I guess I might have been wrong. But I'm not sure actually what I said, that they'd be spawning up until May.
You said I was full of crap. and that wasn't going to happen.
I'm sure I said
That's what you
that.
said.
I'm sure I said
That's
that.
what you said.
But I say that every week about multiple things.
Right.
But
So
but
I'm
I
feeling
don't know that I said that they would be done spawning.
You said they wouldn't even be close to starting.
I think you're making stuff up now.
No, it's on. I got it on
Well,
the air.
You're gonna have to pull it up and prove it to me because
You know what? And that fly doesn't bother me because I don't stink.
Yeah, well, I do. I've been up since 3:30 this morning.
I got the new Squatch deodorant.
Oh, there you go.
You ever seen that?
Uh-uh.
You haven't seen that? It's like they call it. I don't know. It's all natural. And it's like Sasquatch.
Made of leaves and berries and
yeah, it's all natural stuff. And
sticks and twigs.
I saw it actually. I saw it at Menards when I was checking out, and it was like
that's where I buy my deodorant.
I had no idea to buy deodorant. I'm gonna be really quick about it, but I saw it there, and they had Spidey soap too. It was like an all natural Spidey soap. It was blue and red, and of course my 3-year-old son says, Dad, we gotta have that.
That's right.
So I'm like, I'm getting the Squatch deodorant too, because it was like I looked at it, it was like nuts and berries, and it's all natural and make you smell great. And I'm like, cool.
Oh yeah.
Here's the thing. It's like clay. So most of us guys, me included,
it's made out of mud.
I have hair under my arms.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I have reached puberty. But when you pull that stuff down there, man, it's like it kind of hurt.
It's hard on you. Hard on you in the shower trying to get that off.
Well, I don't really know about that so much because I think it sweats away and kind of greases in. Yeah, I have to know to shower. I don't take showers. I was trying to be nice about it, Ed. Hold on. But it was kind of like pulling like. Yeah, that's right. Like dingleberries on your arm.
Yikes.
So yeah, it was just one of those things.
Yikes.
But this is how we get into fishing. So
I'm sure Sasquatch just goes out, pulls up a pine tree, and rakes it under each arm.
Which goes to my joke for the day.
Okay.
Which I was saying beforehand. I want to make sure I said it right.
Okay.
A bear and a rabbit were pooping side by side in the woods, and the bear says to the rabbit, and he says it. Excuse me, Mr. Rabbit, but do you have a problem with poop sticking to your fur? And the rabbit says, why, yes, I do. So the bear took the rabbit and wiped his rear with him.
That's right.
There you go. So, but see, that joke, it only works if
it can go both ways.
If it doesn't stick or it sticks.
Yeah.
But I didn't know, but I didn't sell that well with the crowd. So anyway.
Well, we'll have to field test.
So here's what's going on in Missouri for those that are watching all over the world, which they will eventually. Maybe not tonight because we're up to 7. It's good. But it's new. Like I said, it's new. But last week we had some nice, consistent, cool temperatures. The sun was coming out. The water was warming up. And in the cycle of life, the crappie and the bass are starting to do their thing and working towards their spawning. So we've got some really interesting things happening here in Missouri this week. Today we had about a 45-minute gully washer.
Yep.
But it's still at night now. The sun's out. It's pushing 80 again. It's really nice and warm. But tomorrow is Thursday, and Friday is going to be a 100% chance of rain, a couple inches of rain. And then the temperature's going to drop all the way down to 47 with another 100% chance of rain day. And here at the podcast, we want to make everybody catch more fish. And the question that I bring to our world champion angler tonight is what the hell's going to happen down here this week?
I'm always a big believer that once they make their move and kind of move up shallow, Lawson, my son, and fished last weekend in the BFL, and I went and watched the whole way in. Talked to several of the guys that really catch them. Mark Dunbar's here in the studio. He fished the tournament. A lot of the fish have moved up. They've moved up shallow. Not all of them, by no means, but I think there's enough of them that's moved up that I don't think it'll affect the bash really that much. Because even if it does have a cool rain and cools the water temperature off, I think this time of the year, once they make their move and they move up there in 10 foot or less, I think they're there. And I don't think they leave it and back off. I think they stay up there. Now it might make them, not bite a little bit. It might make that tough for a day or two. But I think once they're up there, they got their mind on crawdads. They got their mind on feeding quite a bit, up there shallow, and I think, I don't think they just move. Like I say, they might tense up a little bit and not bite quite as good as what they would have today or tomorrow even.
Right.
You drop the water temperature 4 or 5 degrees, that can make them clench up a little bit. Uh, but I think there's enough of them already moved up that it'll be okay. I don't think it's gonna, to say it's gonna
shut it. It's not going to shut it down.
No, I don't think it's gonna shut it down by no means.
Nature finds its way.
Yeah,
Still do their thing.
absolutely. And last weekend, the BFL was pretty deceiving. To say it was a great tournament, it really wasn't. There was a 21 and then a 20, and then Lawson finished 10th with 14. So to say that it overall they really bashed them, there was several of those 12 to 14-pound stringers is what there was. Quite a few guys caught those. But like I say, to say that it was just really a blockbuster tournament, it wasn't. There's 2 guys caught big stringers. And then there was another like 19-pound stringer or 18-pound stringer. And like I say, and then it went to 15s pretty quick.
Right.
So, it's.
Well, the reason why this show gets a lot of people to watch is because I'm like a genius when it comes to the research, and you just apply it.
Well, sure, absolutely.
So
we work well together on that.
There is a term called run-in.
Yes.
You know what that is?
Yep.
All right. If everybody else doesn't, when we get rain, fresh water comes in the back of the creeks and push in. Sometimes it's warm water, sometimes it's cold water. But in all my years of interviewing anglers, especially on the crappie side, one thing is definitely certain is that crappie do not like change.
Yeah.
They hate change. So when you get that cold water in, it's pretty much like a cold front where it locks them up. They don't do anything. Catfish love it.
Yeah.
They get up in there, and I mean, you get a good big rain.
Run to it.
It's time. Yeah, you're going to have a heyday on blue cats and channels anytime you want if you have run in the back of the creek. Tell me about bass, because I don't know.
Well, bass, I'm going to explain one thing about here. Really, we've had one other pretty good rain so far this spring, and it did come in a few of the creeks. But throughout the winter and last fall and everything, so much of our flat water gets a lot of silt, gets a ton of silt. And so really in the springtime, the first big gully washer that comes in, now I wouldn't even consider today what happened really terrible because it just rained for about an hour.
You weren't here.
I know, but it didn't rain very much.
Yeah.
It rained for about an hour.
Like a lot.
It did, and it rained hard. But, I drive by the creeks coming on my way down here, and most of them weren't up and running real hard. Mm-hmm. And like I say, now in the next 2 or 3 days, they talk like it's supposed to rain the whole next 3 days. So
they're not talking. That's going to happen.
Yeah. So it's going to happen. And one thing that you got to be a little bit afraid of is all that silt, because that silt, when you run back in that stuff and everything's mixing, looking, and it looks like the water colors mixing and changing colors right in front of your face, and it's browns and different stuff mixing like that. A lot of times that's that silt. Gotcha. And I really firmly believe that they do not like that. That chokes them up. I think it gets to them a little bit and chokes them up.
It's just dirty water.
It is, but it's silt-filled water. And I think it takes one really good wash off. Now, the next time that it rains real hard and runs in good and fresh, then bass are going to run right to it because it'll be a little bit fresher, because a lot of that silt has already been pushed out, settled back to the bottom, out in deeper water.
Gotcha.
And I might be wrong, but I probably wouldn't fish dead in that dirt water right now. I'd probably fish in the edge of it. I wouldn't get way up in it. I would fish where it's mixing with the cleaner water, is my opinion of it.
I gotcha.
And it's just a matter of days before you can catch them out of that, mixing water. But it's got to settle out just a little bit.
Now, I would tell people, if you're listening to this, it's 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, rewind it back to when we first started this conversation about the silt and the running in the water, because what Dion said, people will miss over it, but it's a very important thing. He said, when I drive by and look at the creeks.
Sure.
And that's an important piece that people need to pay attention to.
Yeah.
You don't have to go out there and pre-fish and chase that water. Sometimes you get in your car and just go down the road and you can see things
Drive
to
over the
educate you a little bit better.
drive over the ass end of a stream.
Yeah.
See how fast it's running.
You're
If
going to know how much water you got.
That's right, and you'll have an idea of what's running into the lake. When it's just blood orange, I don't believe they, I think it takes them a day or two for that. But that's the neat thing about Lake of the Ozarks. We're covered with rock. I mean, most of these creeks are rock, gravel bottoms. So once that kind of gets out, it doesn't take it very long at all before it starts clearing up. And that's kind of the water I like to fish when it's starting to clear up just a little dab. But like I say, there's lots of times right now when it's early spring and it's still a little bit early. They're still bunched up good and tight, and little groups of them aren't big on migrating back in, that much.
Man,
So
Mark knows so much he's leaving. He came when he got, and
he
he's
ate
going.
his pizza and he's out of here.
I didn't make him pizza. He got here late. I wouldn't make it for him.
But the
Sorry.
but the thing of it is, when fish are all hemmed up together like they are now pre-spawn, there's just times that whole group won't migrate. It won't move, won't take off. It won't, they won't take off and swim to the back end of a creek.
Right.
And that's exactly what they're doing right now. I talked to the top two guys and two or three of the other fishermen and about how they fished in the BFL this last weekend, and most all of them caught two or three of those big fish in a spot 50 yards long, one little bunch of fish, and then they came back later, made another pass over it, and caught another one.
But you've kind of mentioned that before. Those fish still kind of group up.
They're they're really pre-spawn.
Pre or pre?
Pre-spawn. They're really pre-spawn. Like very, 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 very pre-spawn.
You confuse me there.
They're just super pre-spawn.
So are we in pre-spawn or are we in pre-spawn?
We're in pre-spawn.
So they're almost pre-spawning.
Maybe even 3 pre-spawns. Pre-spawn.
Wow.
They just, I caught one the other day that's white as a ghost.
That doesn't mean anything.
He just came from deep water. He just moved in from out deep.
But they say that doesn't really, the fish can be white up on the bank too.
Well, yeah, but I don't care what they say. I caught a fish that was brand new to the shoreline 2 days ago.
All right.
The way I determine it,
That kind of goes against the block it theory. If the whole live scope thing, those fish stay out deep, you never see them.
Some of them do. Some of them do not come to the bank.
Yep. But they're not white when they catch them.
Well, it depends on the clarity of the water,
Just saying.
Where I was at up the lake, when they ain't got no color pigmentation in their back and their stripes are real pale and everything, that some gun's cold. He just came in out of the deeper water.
Okay. How long is it taking to get dark?
Week.
Depends on how much
days.
sun and light.
Yeah,
and heat.
days. Just and it depends on what clarity of water you're standing in too. If he's standing in mud water, well, he doesn't get much light penetration. So
here's another genius line I'm going to give you.
All right.
All right. So you are very aware we keep a largemouth bass in a very large aquarium.
Yep.
And we have for 20 years.
Sure.
And we've had 3. They've averaged about 5 years, 5-6 years. But every single one of them, they have a natural color about them, and they're in a contained tank. But when they start to feed, they instantly turn dark.
Yep.
I mean, they get dark black. Their black ribs come way out. They get a lot of color in their veins. And I found that kind of fascinating watching them because it's like they get their blood flowing. Something pushes out and they change color instantly.
I think it's just like the block it theory. When they're out there, they're not really, they're kind of just hanging out.
I don't know if we call it the block it theory.
And I think when they move up on the bank, the closer they get to the bank, the more excited they get.
Right.
Because they know, okay, we're feeding now. We're going to do some eating. And I really think that's part of it,
Let's clarify. The block it theory is everybody cheats unless you fished 1988 and prior.
Well, I don't know about that.
I was just saying that fish stay out there, and there are some anglers like Randy Blockett to say those fish have always been out there, and they've been found for the first time with modern electronics.
I believe that.
Yep.
I
think I do too.
I'm right with him. I'm 100% with him on that.
I don't want to give him the credit for having the Blockett theory. So.
No, I'm 100% with him on that. I really think those fish, we've always just left them alone. We fish for smaller ones, or we fish for ones that are on the bank.
That's been his core argument of this whole thing.
Sure.
Those bigger fish have been out there.
It's a safe haven for them
to protect the fishery.
Sure, and
that's why we fish the bank. Leave them alone.
Yeah,
that's what the sport does. You fish the bank.
I guess you'd have to talk to the almighty upstairs to know if that's actually the facts. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. But that's a whole other.
Yeah,
I
don't know that that's the deal. But I do agree with him on that. He's got a lot of valid points on that. We are now
and that's
catching
even
fish.
Outside of electronics, really.
And you can look at around these lakes around the world, that are breaking the 100-pound mark.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. How many times has that been done before LiveScope?
I don't know.
2 or 3 times. 2 or 3 times in the whole history that I've been fishing. It's happened.
Old Jones did it twice, right? Sorry, I'm kidding.
but it was always on like a clear lake or a Santee Cooper, where it's just one of the greatest bass lakes on the planet.
Well, we've had this discussion with crappie.
Now throughout Texas, shoot, they do it all the time.
The southern states, they grow longer, and I think if you get a good spawn and you leave them alone, it over a course you get a cycle of a good fish.
Yep.
Florida strain is a good strain too, and you get that. And California, can't rule out California, but they're too dumb to catch bass.
You can't fish Sam Rayburn any more than what I have in my
You're
lifetime.
From California, right? Yeah, that's my point exactly.
You can't fish. You can't fish.
Do you understand me? Yeah, okay.
You can't fish Sam Rayburn more than I have in my life. I mean, I went there every year for probably 25 years, and sometimes multiple times in a year, and never 100 pounds.
Yeah.
Always not really big bags, and catch some 10-pounders. But
hey, you know what?
Now it just happens frequently.
For all you YouTubers, if you look up in between both of our shoulder blades up behind us, we have on the screen about a 12.5 pounder.
Yeah.
That was a Rayburn fish.
That was a
Sam
Rayburn fish.
This guy right up there.
Yep.
And you were lucky that your dad told you where to cast.
That's right.
It's pretty good. So I mean, there's always been good fish there, but
sure.
But you didn't see that fish.
You just didn't catch them that frequently. You would catch one every now and then, and I'm not going to say you caught it by accident because you're fishing, but you didn't catch limits of 5 and 6 pounders, and like I say, it's just more and more frequent around the country, and I really don't think that the lakes are getting that much better. They're just catching fish that don't get thrown at.
Gotcha. So
is that a bad thing?
No, not really.
No, it's modern technology.
It's kind of like, my dad collects antique lures and has for a long time. And when eBay got really big, and this is kind of it's kind of relevant, so it just kind of makes sense. I'm actually going somewhere with this. When eBay came out, all those lures that nobody said existed, all of a sudden they existed.
Mm-hmm.
They all came out. The wigglewort thing.
Yep.
We're all. I'm a big wigglewort guy. I love wigglewort. So we buy some wigglewort. You collect wiggleworts, and there's a select few. And the next thing you know, social media, the internet, marketplace, all these things come out, and then everybody's got them. There's 100 million of them out there, and the market goes. Pfft.
Yep.
And I guess live technology is kind of the same as eBay. You didn't think those fish existed, but all of a sudden there's this new tool, and it's like they're there.
Yep. So,
enough of that. Rewind back. I got to go back because he always says weird crap, and I got to dissect it. So we rewind back, and I'm still confused over the pre.
Do you need to be writing this stuff down?
Spawn. What are we doing right now? So if we're in let's say we're in pre-spawn. Normally, pre-spawn is the stage before they go to the bank. But you say they're not quite to that stage. I thought pre-spawn was when they gather up on the point.
It's when they gather up on the bank.
Yeah, when they gather up, and it's like that's whacking days.
When they gather up, like right now, what I found in the last few days is you can miss them very easily. You can not make enough cast.
In layman's terms, the fish are still scattered.
Yes, no, I think they're really tightly knit right now, because every time I found them, it's like you're going to throw multiple casts right there and catch 3 or 4.
Okay.
So I think they're really tightly bunched up, and they haven't scattered to just take off migrating down the bank yet.
Gotcha.
So and on the low end of the lake, there's still a lot of guys catching them out off of these points and stuff.
So wouldn't you call that still the winter pattern?
Kind of, but
we're in transition from winter to pre-spawn.
Yes, and they're trying to get on the bank.
Okay.
They're wanting to get on the bank. It is April. They're getting on the bank. I had an 80-degree day today. Everything's leading them to the shore. Okay, but when they get to the shore, they're still kind of bunched up right now. So you can very easily pull in and fish your favorite secondary point and not catch him. And it's because he's 20 yards.
Did you say your favorite secondary?
Favorite secondary point. That's just where 99% of the people are fishing right now.
But they're not necessarily just on secondary points.
No,
They're still being main lake fish. They still be in the very back.
Yeah, there's still some main lake.
Just asking.
But you can miss them by one cast. They're 20 yards down the bank right there, and so I have found, this week in fishing that I just fish more.
Cover more water.
Cover more water. Fish down the sides of those points up into a cove a little bit. Fish down banks to rock transitions and stuff like that. But I don't catch myself making a cast every 20 feet either. I've been fishing with 3 people in the boat, so our cast are hitting about every 5 feet.
You're smashing the bank.
Yeah, and eventually one of you will catch one, and when you do, you can throw in that little area and catch 2 or 3 most of the time.
Right. Now I don't want to confuse people, because we always talk about knowing where those fish live, finding where those fish reside, where the bigger fish are. That has not changed. However, when we talk about fishing the backside of a point or fishing your good structure, you need to keep going another
give it another
50 yards.
Give it another 5 minutes.
Yeah, and cover a little bit of either side of it.
Yeah, don't just pull up and throw at the point, because
what you're not saying is you don't start at the mouth of the cove and go all the way around one end and up the other.
No, not right now, but I'm
once
still close to points.
Right. Once you find that niche, and we talked about it last week too, and the same thing applies this week. You get right, the sun's beating down right now. I haven't seen it all day. You'll find that spot that warms up really quick. A little bit of shade behind a structure or a transitional point from chunk rock to peat gravel. That's the
we found.
And you just want to find that spot and then emulate it.
We
duplicate it.
We crappie fished the same day. The last day.
You're welcome, by the way.
Yeah.
I sent you pictures, told you where to go.
Right.
Yeah.
We crappie fished the next day, and we crappie fished also that day, and we found that they were on rock, that big.
Oh, I know.
If they were on pea gravel, you would not catch one. You had to catch them off a rock. Yeah.
I sent you a picture.
You walk down on the dock and you catch 3, and you're like, oh my gosh.
I'm going to put a picture on Facebook. There wasn't 3 in that basket. No, it was a limit.
No, there was 10.
There's a limit. It was like a 10-minute limit, man.
Well, I caught 100.
No. They were
they
were 10 to 13.
I probably caught no less than 100 that day. And every one of them, 99% of them came off of rocks that were like that big. And if you would fish down a bank and it would turn to pea gravel, then you just quit getting bit altogether. They were on the big rocks.
pre-spawn.
They're not spawning. That's the only reason why I'm not going to totally retract what I said about the spawn.
It's going to happen sooner than you think.
It might happen sooner.
It's going to happen sooner than you thought. I'll take the compromise.
It could happen sooner.
I know I was right, but
I'm not going to.
You're going to spin it to something that maybe is kind of in between. So
that's one thing about fishing. It's not that you were right.
Oh no, I was.
That I'm not wrong. So
kinda.
It's kind of however you say it.
Again, I'm going to tell all of you that are listening, get out and go fishing here at Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri, because if you don't hurry, you very well could miss it. Okay.
They're biting.
Because if not, Hibb's going to go through and clean your bank out. So don't. I'll tell you something else. Don't call or text or email us and say, "Hey, the fish are biting really good in my cove," because somebody not naming names, will
I just wanted to make sure you weren't lying to me.
fleece your bank and clean your stuff out.
I was wanting to make sure that you didn't tell a fib, and I just want to make sure you wasn't lying. I did not raid his basket.
No, he didn't. He just went around the dock and fleeced it.
I did not.
No, he just caught him around the dock.
But
he still didn't know the good spot. So
I caught him. I caught a handful right there by his dock.
Mm-hmm. Did you see the cable coming down where the little brush piles are? So you didn't.
I'm not gonna.
Got it. There you go.
The one little stick that sticks up about the size of your finger.
Yeah.
That points out.
In between the two docks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're right there.
It was loaded.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good spot.
And we didn't bruise them up. We pulled in there, caught 2 or 3, and left.
Yep. Just wanted to do it.
We didn't stay for it.
It was just a validation, right?
Yeah.
I hear you.
If it had been somebody I wouldn't have liked, we'd have caught them all. But.
Gotcha. So, I hate to put you on the spot, and I don't even have an answer, and I'm kind of just bummed about it, but you get, and really, I love rain. I love fishing in the rain. It doesn't bother me a bit, especially a warm rain. You get a good rain, you get some inflow, everything's good. It doesn't matter. Everything gets wet. It's not a big deal, but when this baby shifts to 30, 40-degree temperature swing and gets cold, man, it sucks to fish.
It
really does.
It's hard to stay warm. You got to keep your hands warm.
And,
and it's hard to stay dry.
And we've said it over and over again. You got to dress warm.
Yep.
You got to plan like as if it were winter. And get out there. Keep your hands warm. But I don't even know. I've been thinking I'm scheduled to fish this week. I don't know if Dad scratched already or not. Did he already scratch out? We have boat problems. No, we really do. So.
It's your all's tournament this weekend?
Yeah.
Oh,
I you know what the problem is, right? It's too cold. I don't want to get wet. No, but my take on this, and you're going to totally disagree with me, is if you're fishing a smaller club tournament, you'll disagree with me too. That I think when it's really, really cold, if you want to go out there and get into the groove, don't make the big run. Denny Brower used to always say that those fish are right around the corner and they're 70 miles away, but you can go around the corner and you can catch a fish. I think it's important to get yourself loosened up and acclimated and get in the groove. You make a big run right from the get-go, unless you've pre-fished and you found them. I think a smaller tournament, I think it's good to stay close and focus on fishing in a tight area. I think you'll do just as good if you make a 70-mile run, freeze your ass off, and then try to get yourself acclimated to fish.
I focus. You focus so much better if you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable, it's hard to stay focused. There's lots of different ways of doing it, getting by. I've made a 70-mile trip here on Lake of the Ozarks a million times, and if it's raining, the rain suit that I wear running up the lake, I'm probably going to wear a helmet or some sort of shield across my face. My gloves are going to go over my rain suit so it doesn't run up my sleeves. But
that's a good one.
And the next thing is, I take an extra suit of clothes. Mm-hmm. I take a complete extra suit of clothes and another rain suit.
Well, that's because occasionally you crap your pants.
And you can do that. You can do that too.
I
always carry an extra suit of clothes. But you and like I say, if you make one of them long trips and it gets down your neck and your chest is wet and when you get there, you're always going to be chilled a little bit. Change clothes. Go pull in a boat dock. There's a million boat docks out there. Pull in a boat dock, change clothes, dry off, get warm clothes on, and then go fishing. And you fish so much better,
Even your upper where it gets down in your neck when the wind blows in, you can do that.
I carry extra shoes, extra socks.
But you've told me in the past over, and it's kind of stuck like a bad penny. Bass is green. He swims sideways. He does the same thing in every lake in every part of the country, and you do what you do to catch fish.
Yep.
That was your line. You always said it. But I think to myself, if we're in pre-spawn, those fish kind of behave the same way, even from a lower end of a lake, from like a dam lake to the river end, don't they? Consistently, that the averages are in your favor.
Yeah, but our lake is so big and so twisty and turny that it all happens at different times. I mean, it's not the same. The low end of the lake right now, I think they're still really, really pre-spawn down there. And when I say that, I think the bulk of those big ones are out off the bank. I don't think they're up on the bank yet. And it's because there's not many guys that's just bashing them on the very low end of the lake.
Right.
Now you get to the mid lake area from PB2 up to, say, the Hurricane Deck Bridge. Now those fish are actually, a little bit further along. You get above the Hurricane Deck Bridge, and they're further along even yet.
That's because that water's 58 degrees.
A little bit warmer.
You're getting there.
A good solid stain in it too, and that slightly dingier water warms up a little quicker.
Right. I'm just posing questions. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just trying to make people understand.
We have a high school tournament going on this weekend. That's why I couldn't believe that your all's tournament's going on, because they have like 300 teams that happens in these high school tournaments, and it's going on Saturday and Sunday. So,
it's just
a lot of boats.
The Ozarks. There's 35 tournaments every day.
A lot of boats.
So it's not a big deal. Of course, our club president, he only does the schedule where he thinks he can catch fish. So he doesn't really pay attention to other events that are going on. He just makes sure that he blocks it off to where it doesn't affect his dinner plans on Saturdays. And
you talk about the right thing to do with those kids. And when I say some of these kids ain't kids, some of them's 18 years old, I think's the cutoff on it or something like that. Put in close to where you're going to fish. Don't get them kids wet. Keep them as dry as you can, as long as you can, because they're going to fish better. When you see one standing back there, he got excited and he pulled his hood down, and he makes 4 or 5 casts with his hood all down and his neck all open. Tell him, hey, do your rain suit up. Stay dry as long as you can, because about 10 o'clock when that stuff starts soaking in, you get miserable. And then you start bitching, moaning, complaining,
I've said it. I'm
crying, and it's, there's no crying in bass fishing, but I'm just saying.
I heard you whine a lot.
Oh, yeah.
The 40-some episodes we've done, and if you haven't heard it the first time, I'll say it again. When it starts here,
that's right.
It ends up on your ding-ding.
It ends up.
And it's game over, because you cannot fish when you're wet in the southern region.
That's right.
So that's just the way it is, especially when it's 47 degrees.
So when
it makes you miserable.
When they make all that Velcro on them rain suits, do it up. Work it, do it up.
Use
tight,
it to your advantage.
Yeah, use it to your advantage. The ones around the sleeves is what gets me. I see
that's
guys
the
out there
that's the tip of the day.
With the sleeves just hanging loose.
I do that. I never thought about it.
That's miserable when it gets right up to your elbows.
What do you use? Welding gloves? A big flare?
No, I tie them off.
Duct tape it?
I tie them dudes off.
Maybe you tie them off. With
I got an extra piece of Velcro, too.
There you go. Okay.
All the rain suits have Velcro around them, okay?
They don't have an extra piece.
And if it doesn't work right, you walk in the you walk in the hardware store, and you get that thin Velcro that's about that big, and you carry a piece about that long, 2 pieces.
Right.
And you go.
This is new for everybody,
real tight,
me, so we're like, this is
real
something
tight,
new.
and it just keeps it airtight.
Yeah,
and
keep
then
it talking, something cool comes out of you.
And then the next thing you do, you go to AutoZone or O'Reilly's.
So you get paid by AutoZone tonight?
And you buy the rubber gloves that auto mechanics wear working on cars.
Okay.
And they wear those gloves so they don't get oil and grease all in their fingernails and stuff. But it's a little light rubber glove.
Okay.
And they're light to where they can still put in screws and work equipment and stuff like that.
Okay.
When you put those gloves on, keep your hands dry. And guess what gets cold on you first?
Your toes. No, I'm kidding.
If you're wearing bad shoes, yeah. But you buy a $100 of rubber gloves at O'Reilly's or AutoZone.
Like the nitrile gloves?
Yeah.
Is that what they're called? Is that the right pronunciation? Yeah.
They're auto parts. They're made for auto
I think
mechanics.
that's the same thing. But those aren't the ones you go over your suit with, right?
Absolutely.
So I would get a bigger size then. Gear gloves. Okay.
No, not those heavy rubber ones.
Oh, see, you're wrong too.
I'm talking the real light ones that. Yeah, they're almost like hospital gloves, only they're black.
Nitrile. We got it. Nitrile gloves. Got it.
Yeah.
Look it up. N-I-T-R-I-L.
But the ones that they sell in auto parts store, a little hint for you, are a little bit heavier than doctor gloves.
Huh.
They're like the next power up.
How would you know the thickness of gloves?
You don't tear them up as bad. Trust me, I've bought
That's right.
I've bought them. I've bought them that they send to the hospitals. Those tear up easy. Okay, you buy the ones that they use in the auto parts store. They're just the next grade tougher.
Gotcha.
Geez, you know absolutely nothing about this,
It's
do
just
you?
new. It's anybody out here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, knew that for fishing? Yeah, well, there you go. See? Nobody. So, yeah, it's new. That's new stuff. That's new stuff.
Nobody.
Now, I see. I don't
I
think I
bet you.
have.
I
I don't
bet
have
you.
huge hands, but a medium-sized glove like that is pretty tight on me.
You can
So
get all sizes.
I would say I get that. What I'm telling, if we're gonna like build this new tip for everybody so they can understand it, they want to go out and buy a glove that fits them snugly. Get a little bit bigger because you can get them over your sleeve of your suit
And you can
and
get them
Velcro them
over
down.
a liner glove or
Right,
like a jersey.
sure. And then you can wear your regular gloves over
That's
that,
right.
and you stay warm.
That's
'Cause
right.
I know jersey gloves get wet, but they still stay warm.
They still stay warmer.
I've gotten to the point now. I'm not talking about myself, but I wear when it gets like cold and windy. I'll grab a pair of jerseys out of the glove box.
Yep.
And I'll just wear them straight up. But I've gotten to the point where I can actually thumb bar just wearing jerseys. It's easy.
Yep.
It doesn't bother me. I think, and my thumb gets wet, so be it. But it just keeps the edge off the back of my hands and my fingers, and it helps.
The rubbers make it pretty nice.
But rubber gloves,
If you
rubber
stop,
gloves, rubber gloves.
the rubber gloves make it pretty
I
nice.
make my hands sweat and get cold though. That's the other problem I have. Big guys don't have that problem.
I can't win.
No, I'm just saying.
There's absolutely no way I can win this conversation.
No, I think it's cool. I'm just trying to figure out how to do it.
I bet you if you took a poll of the Elite Series anglers or the Bass Pro Tour anglers, I bet you would have about 10% that don't have those gloves in their boat. Everybody
10%.
wears them. Everybody wears them because it's just smart.
Do you?
Do you guys fish for a living? No, none of you. No.
I'm
No,
just,
just
I'm
me.
just saying.
I'm the only one that's ever made a living at this.
I think
in this
this
room.
is a great tip for everybody to learn from. That's what I'm saying. It's like it's not that you're not going to win this conversation.
I'm trying to help these high school kids out.
There you go. Everybody here's over 70, except for 2, maybe.
I'm just telling you.
Huh. All right. I think it's cool.
You guys are so hard to work with. It's like jacking with my kids.
Mm-hmm. And you really haven't given us any good secrets about how to fish this week. We haven't talked about bait selection, where to go, what to do. I've got needs.
Bait selection, 6 foot or less.
Yep.
Over 90% of the lake is where you want to fish. Okay. I just narrowed it down a lot. That's over 90% of the lake.
6 foot
or
or
less is where you're going to catch the winning stringers of bass.
You said secondaries a lot.
I said secondaries a lot.
Yeah, you did say secondaries a lot. So main to secondaries with softball size rock, dark, seems to be
basically just fish 6 foot or less. That's narrowing it down a bunch.
Man, that's pretty vague.
Is it?
Yep.
Are they going to respond to the cold front?
Cold front's not going to affect them according to him.
If it does affect them, it'll just make them tense up a little bit. They won't bite quite as good. Are they going to move? No. They've already made their move to the bank. They ain't moving back. I might work a little slower. I might come Saturday after they've had a couple days of this cool stuff. I might throw a jerk bait a little bit more, or I might slow roll a spinner bait a little bit. It won't just be rock crawler and down the bank in a hurry.
A jerk bait this type of year, you can go with the suspending jerk bait and you can actually stop it.
Sure.
So when those fish aren't as active, you can get a stall. You can hold a bait in the water a little longer. It's an ideal bait to throw now.
I throw a suspending jerk bait pretty much till they spawn. Have I caught them on floaters? Absolutely. But I don't catch them on the same jerk baits. I change up jerk baits completely, when I do that.
So a bottom bouncing rock style crankbait, rock crawler, wiggle wart, Lucky Craft, whatever.
Yeah.
Jerk bait, slow roll a spinner bait. They're absolutely, if you have any kind of top water at all, put on your rod, cut it off, throw it in the bottom of the boat.
Yep.
Don't need that right now.
The jig.
Not really. They're not on the crawdad yet, but you can catch a few.
Yeah, you can catch them on it. You can still catch them on a jig.
That's just because that's what you do.
Well, you can catch them on it because they're so clustered up too.
Right.
When you find that little bunch of them where, you caught one on a jerk bait and your partner caught one that's fishing with you on a jerk bait, 2 casts later, there's some right there. Okay, just know one thing: there's some right there. If you fish back over them with a jerk bait, don't catch them, throw your crankbait in there.
Do you
If you don't,
believe
if
in
you
a
don't catch one on that, pick up a little brown jig and throw in there because that's something that he won't turn down if it comes
Well,
in front of him.
I was getting ready to say, do you believe in like a different presentation if you're fishing with a buddy? Push something else that maybe to give them a different look.
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, if it's a team tournament,
Yeah.
one of it's going to be throwing one, one of it's going to be throwing a jerk bait or a spinner bait, and the other one's going to be throwing a crankbait. We're not
And a
going to,
jig.
yeah, we're not going to throw the same thing at the same time.
Unless the guy in the front whacks about 6 in a row.
Right now, my jig's going to stay laying on the deck of the boat the bulk of the time. All right?
Yeah,
It's going to be laying on the deck of the boat, ready to go after I find them. Okay?
Right.
I'm going to find them on a jerkbait, crankbait, spinnerbait because I'm going to cover some more water and I'm going to cover water faster. And I'm going to move around and find that little bunch of them a little bit quicker. Okay? Once I find them, there's no telling what I'm going to throw at them. I might throw a shaky head at them before it's over with. I doubt it because I don't like shaky
Me
head.
too. I was like, what?
But I am going to throw a jig that they won't turn down, and I'm going to throw it right where I know they live right there, and it's easy right now to get right past them. You pull up, you make a long cast, and you catch one, and the way this wind's been blowing, it blows you down the bank while you're getting down, putting him in the live well. You stand back up. Okay, where did I just catch that one? Did the boat get blown by it? And are they still right here? And
that's if you don't have spot lock.
Well, you got to pay attention to where you're at. You
Right.
know, yeah, spot lock helps, but
I will say Garmin
stay
spot
close to
lock
'em.
does not help.
Oh yeah,
They're terrible.
really.
Yeah, you hit spot lock and it'll move you back about 15 feet, and then it decides where it wants to go and brings you back up
Well,
about
you just-
6, and you're all over the place.
Just be aware of where you're at. If you're fishing down an open bank, and you hook a big one, look up on the bank. Find you something on the bank, a rock, a tree, something that makes you okay. They're right there, and make sure you make more good casts right in that little area because a lot of the tournament winning stringers are going to come out of a spot the size of you and I sitting here, and it's going to happen on multiple casts. That's how bunched up they are. And the crazy thing about it is that makes them mighty easy to miss. So I can't stress that enough that, don't make a cast 20 yards down the bank and then the boat catches all the way up to your bait and don't make nothing in between there because you might have just thrown right by them and missed them completely. But you can keep it pretty simple. They're not going to be real deep. Could there be somebody go out there and live scope them? Absolutely. Because it blows me away when they do catch them on it every time. But I think the bulk of the game winners right now are going to be in 6 foot or less. I don't care if you're at the Truman Dam or if you're at Bagnell Dam. They're going to be in 6 foot or less. And like I say, you're going to catch them on that little variety of baits.
Gotcha. So that's about it for tonight. It was a good run. We're kind of fortunate because next Wednesday will be 2 days out from the bash. So it'd be really important for you guys. If you want some really good information next week, tune in, come in, sit down with us. We got a lot of stuff going on next week. It's going to be a good show. I'd like to thank those that tuned in, found us there. Like I said, we're going to build her back up, and then hopefully we'll get our Apple stream back going again where you can listen to the audio streams on Apple. Make sure you log in to YouTube and check us out. We're super glad you watched. Thanks again to Lloyd and June at Hiawatha Beach Resort, to everybody who supports us and helps us out and views and watches. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we're going to build it and grow.
What night is going to be the in-store?
I think we'll do it Wednesday night, and we're going to start pushing it from now until next week. So if that's okay with you. We're going to put a podcast in it if you guys want the real unfiltered post-show seminar. Dion's going to be here, and we're going to talk in detail what you really, really need to do. And it only costs $249 per person. No, I'm kidding. You smile. You can just pay me under the table, and I'll get you a front row seat. And we're going to take care of you. No charge. Just kidding. So all I got tonight. I got no plugs. Got nothing. You got anything?
Yeah, I would tell you more about the Big Bass Bash, but I'd say the next 3 days gonna change that up just a little bit with all the rain and stuff that we're supposed to get. Just have to wait and see what the lake turns into.
Yep. But it's going to change.
Some of it, yep, some of it's going to change.
Yeah, calling for 71-degree temperatures to be all right. It's going to be up and down, but
I don't care about that as much as I do fresh red water.
well, we will have probably 2 or 3 selected baits that we think are going to be the prime thing for you next week. So, no, we got it. It's secret. You don't know. And it's going to be here. So come check us out next week. If not, give us a shout. Let us know. As always, you can always drop us an email at askrealtalk@gmail.com, and we'll answer your questions. We'll send you photos, send you videos, not the kind, fishing videos.
Video.
Yeah,
Fishing
good stuff.
videos,
Yeah. Every once in a while, we have some good ones.
Be specific.
And we'll be here next Wednesday at 6 p.m. from all of us here. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week at Real Unfiltered Talk. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. And now I'm going to see if I can turn it off. This will be a whole new thing.